Every day, my thoughts and energies are consumed by the pressing needs of Burkina Faso, the security of our people, the relentless pursuit of a sovereignty that has been denied to us for so long, and the building of a future where every Burkinabe can live with dignity and pride in their land. This is my reality, the burden I carry with the determination that history imposes on us, a struggle that allows no respite or distraction. However, even while immersed in these crucial battles, I cannot and must not isolate myself from the world around us, because global dynamics, whether we like it or not, directly affect the path we follow. It is from this perspective, that of a leader who yearns for an awakening not only for his nation but for the entire African continent, that I sometimes allow myself to observe the currents of influence that shape perception, especially of our young people, who are the future and the hope of a truly free and prosperous Africa. And it is in this context that figures of global importance, such as the football player Neymar, enter my field of vision, not as mere passing entertainment, but as a cultural phenomenon that demands more attentive and careful reflection, especially when their actions generate debate and controversy. I understand that, for many, it may seem strange that a man in my position, with the responsibilities I have assumed, would dedicate time to thinking about the trajectory of an athlete who lives in a reality so different from ours. But the truth is that influence knows no borders, and the messages, explicit or implicit, transmitted by those who hold the global microphone, reach the ears and hearts of our young people, shaping their dreams, their ambitions and, at times, their values, in ways that are not always the most constructive for our collective project. This is not a hasty judgment, or a frivolous criticism. It is a genuine concern for the kind of example that is being projected to a generation that is desperately searching for role models, for beacons that will illuminate a path of righteousness, hard work and commitment to causes greater than the individual. When I see an immense talent, an ability to inspire millions, being overshadowed by controversy or by an apparent disconnect with the struggles and desires of so many who admire it, I feel that a precious opportunity is perhaps being wasted. My voice, normally reserved for matters of state, defense strategies, and calls for national unity, finds itself in these moments needing to expand, not to interfere in the lives of others, but to share a perspective that arises from daily experience with the consequences of inequality, lack of opportunities, and the struggle for human dignity. It is the voice of those who see the potential for transformation that resides in the hands of those who, like Neymar, have conquered the world with their talent, and who long to see them use this strength for the common good. I consider it part of my responsibility as a leader to warn about the subtleties of power and influence, which are not restricted to political or military positions, but also manifest themselves in the admiration that millions devote to their idols. This admiration confers a form of power, and with all power comes a responsibility that cannot be neglected or treated lightly, because the consequences can be profound and lasting, especially for those who are in the process of forming their character and worldview. My observation, therefore, is not that of a disinterested spectator, but that of someone who carries with him the hopes and dreams of a people, and who knows that building the future we desire also depends on the quality of the examples that inspire our young people to fight for their own ideals, with integrity and with a sense of purpose that goes beyond the search for fame or material wealth. Focusing on significant contributions. That is why, when a figure like Neymar becomes embroiled in a new controversy, my gaze sharpens, not to condemn, but to try to understand and, who knows, so that my reflection can, in some way, echo and provoke a necessary questioning about the true role of those who become global references. I firmly believe that talent, when aligned with a noble purpose, can be a transformative force of unimaginable scope, capable of inspiring positive change on a global scale. This is the backdrop to my thinking, the motivation that leads me to consider the impact of personalities who, at first glance, seem to inhabit a completely different universe from mine. Ultimately, we all share the same planet, and the choices made by each of us, especially those who are heard by millions, have the power to shape the future we will leave to future generations, a future that I fervently hope will be fairer, more dignified and more supportive for everyone. So, when I speak or reflect on Neymar, or any other figure of global influence, I do so with the seriousness of someone who understands that the narratives we build today will define the reality of tomorrow, and with the hope that we can, together, inspire a culture of responsibility, empathy, and commitment to the values that truly enhance human beings and strengthen our communities in every corner of the world. I look at the careers of figures like Neymar and see an undeniable talent, an ability to enchant crowds that few in this world possess. However, I also realize the immense weight that fame imposes on shoulders that are sometimes too young to bear without incurring a cost, without controversies arising that tarnish the shine of this journey and raise questions about the choices made along the way, choices that are followed by millions of attentive eyes. Life under the constant spotlight, where every step is scrutinized, every word analyzed, and every mistake magnified 1,000 times over, is a trial that demands maturity and inner strength that are not always developed at the same speed as talent or popularity. The controversies that arise, often the result of this pressure or thoughtless decisions, end up becoming an additional burden, making it difficult to maintain a balance between the public persona and the human being behind it, with all his or her weaknesses and needs. From my perspective, as someone who deals daily with the complexities of leadership and the need to make decisions that affect the lives of millions, I understand that influence, whether political or cultural, carries with it an inherent responsibility. When this responsibility is not fully understood or exercised with due caution, the consequences can be damaging, not only to the image of the individual, but also to those who admire him or her, and who look to him or her as an example to follow in their lives. The controversies surrounding high-profile public figures, such as Neymar, often expose a disconnect between the potential for positive impact they have and the way that this influence is sometimes used, or squandered, in actions that create more division than unity, more disappointment than inspiration. And this is something that deeply concerns me, because I know how much young people, especially on our African continent, yearn for role models who embody integrity, resilience, and commitment to high values. It is not about demanding perfection, because we are all human and susceptible to error. It is about expecting a level of awareness and responsibility that is proportional to the size of the platform one occupies. A leader, in whatever field, must have the humility to recognize his or her mistakes, the courage to learn from them, and the wisdom to use his or her voice to promote what is fair, what is noble, and what contributes to the collective well-being, instead of getting lost in vanity or fruitless disputes. The weight of fame can be overwhelming, and I understand that not everyone is prepared to deal with it in the most balanced way. However, it is precisely in these moments of crisis and controversy that a person's true character is revealed, and that the opportunity to transform a setback into a learning experience, and a learning experience into a message of hope and overcoming, presents itself more clearly and more urgently to all those involved. As a leader, I have learned that transparency, honesty, and the ability to connect with people's real concerns are key to building trust and inspiring loyalty. And I believe that these same principles apply to anyone in a prominent position, because public admiration, once lost, is very difficult to regain, and credibility is an asset that is built with great effort but can be destroyed in an instant. When I see a young talent like Neymar embroiled in controversy, my wish is not to judge, but to help him find the clarity and strength he needs to reevaluate his priorities, to reconnect with the values that truly matter, and to use his immense influence in a way that honors the gift he has been given and that positively inspires those who follow him, showing that it is possible to shine without losing humility and a sense of purpose. Africa, in particular, observes these trajectories with a mixture of hope and apprehension. Hope in seeing success, overcoming, and positive representation, apprehension in the face of failures, of controversies that seem to confirm stereotypes or that simply disappoint those who projected their aspirations onto these idols. It is a view that carries the weight of a history of struggle for recognition and dignity in all areas of life. Therefore, the weight of fame and the controversies that arise from it are not just personal matters for the individual involved. These are issues that touch on collective sensibilities, that affect the perception of millions, and that can have a lasting impact on the way future generations view success, responsibility, and the true meaning of being a role model, an example of conduct and character for all. Topic 3. The message I would like to convey, an appeal to conscience. If I could deliver a direct message to Neymar, and to all young people reaching a platform of global influence, it would be a heartfelt call to conscience, an invitation to look beyond the immediate glare of fame and consider the profound and lasting impact of their choices and their words. I would tell them that talent is a gift, but how they use it is a decision that defines the true value of their legacy in history. I would like to remind you that in every corner of the world there are young people who look up to you with admiration, who dream of following in your footsteps, who see in you a hope for a better future. This admiration is not a blank check. It is a vote of confidence that carries with it an enormous responsibility, the responsibility to be a positive example, to inspire not only through technical skill, but also through integrity, humility and commitment to causes that transcend self-interest. I would tell Neymar that Africa, my continent, is watching him with particular attention, because many of our young people see his trajectory as a symbol that it is possible to overcome adversity and reach the top. But this observation also comes with an expectation that he will use his voice to echo the hopes of a continent that fights for dignity, justice, and a prominent place on the world stage, not only as a supplier of talent, but as the protagonist of its own destiny. The message I would like to convey is that true greatness lies not only in individual achievements, in trophies piled high or wealth accumulated, but in the ability to use those triumphs to lift others up, to open doors for those who come after, to be a force for positive change in a world that so desperately needs compassion, solidarity, and examples of ethical and inspiring leadership. I would ask them to reflect on the power of their platforms to give voice to those who are not heard, to defend the rights of the most vulnerable, to promote education, health and peace in communities that suffer from poverty, violence, and lack of opportunities. That they understand that being a global idol is also being an ambassador of hope, a builder of bridges between cultures and a beacon of inspiration for millions. I would remind them that controversies, although painful, can also be opportunities for learning and growth, moments to reevaluate the path and reconnect with the essential values that are often lost in the whirlwind of fame. That the humility to recognize mistakes and the courage to correct them are marks of true leaders, those who leave a legacy that endures beyond the headlines of the moment. I would like you to know that from my humble place in Burkina Faso, I fight every day for a future where our young people do not need to look only for examples outside our borders, but find in their own land and in their own leaders the inspiration to build a strong, just and sovereign nation. And that the contribution of global figures like them, through a conscious and responsible stance, can be a valuable support in this journey. The message is, in essence, a call to align your immense talent with an even greater purpose, a purpose that serves humanity, that promotes dignity, and that inspires future generations to dream of a world where individual success and collective well-being walk side by side, hand in hand, in perfect harmony and cooperation. May they not forget their origins, the struggles that forged them, and may they use the memory of these journeys as a guide for their present and future actions, honoring those who supported them and paving the way for others to also realize their dreams, with the same determination and drive that led them to stardom, but with an even greater awareness of their role in the world. And finally, I would say that Africa is watching, not with a judgmental eye, but with a hopeful eye, hope that her brightest children, and those who have captured her heart, will understand the depth of their transformative potential and use it to sow a future of peace, justice, and prosperity for all peoples, everywhere, without distinction. In my homeland, Burkina Faso, a nation of proud and resilient people, the struggle for survival and dignity is a constant that shapes our character and our deepest aspirations. Our young people, in particular, grow up in an environment of challenges but also of immense hope, seeking in every example of success, whether local or global, the inspiration to build a better future for themselves and for our homeland, a future that is truly ours. It is only natural that, in a world as connected as today's, the references that reach them go beyond our borders, and that figures like Neymar, with his extraordinary talent and global visibility, become idols, role models to be admired and, at times, imitated in their dreams and ambitions. This admiration is understandable, as it reflects the universal desire to achieve excellence and to be recognized for one's achievements, a feeling that beats strongly in the hearts of Burkinabe youth. However, as the leader of this nation, I feel a responsibility to ensure that the references our young people absorb are those that strengthen them, that inspire them to cultivate not only technical skills in their respective areas, but also integrity, a sense of community, and a commitment to the values that sustain a just and equitable society. And this is where the conduct of global idols becomes a matter of direct relevance to us in Burkina Faso. When we see figures of such great stature involved in controversies that demonstrate a lack of responsibility, excessive ostentation, or disconnection from the realities faced by the majority of the world's population, including our own, this creates a worrying dissonance. It can sow in young people the mistaken idea that success justifies any means, or that fame exempts the individual from their moral and social obligations, which is deeply damaging to the formation of their character. Therefore, my concern about the message that an athlete like Neymar conveys is not random, but stems from the realization that his influence penetrates the homes of Burkina Faso, in conversations between friends, in the dreams that rock the nights of our youth. I want these dreams to be nourished by examples of hard work, perseverance in the face of difficulties, humility in victory, and respect for the dignity of all human beings, values that we try to cultivate here. I want our young people to learn from the best in the world, yes, but also to develop a critical sense to discern between what is truly admirable and what is just superficial brilliance, between what builds and what destroys, between what elevates the human spirit and what imprisons it in cycles of vanity and the incessant search for external approval, without a greater purpose. The search for global references is legitimate, but it must be accompanied by a continuous effort to value our own heroes, our own stories of overcoming, our own rich and diverse culture. And at the same time, we must expect that those who become global icons demonstrate sensitivity and respect for the different realities that make up this planet, including the reality of nations like mine, which fight for their space in the sun. In Burkina Faso, we are committed to building a new narrative, one of sovereignty, self-reliance, and endogenous development. And in this process, examples from outside can either help or hinder. If they are examples of responsibility, solidarity, and commitment to justice, they will be welcome and will inspire us. If they are examples of extreme individualism and indifference, we will have to redouble our efforts to protect our young people from their negative influences. What I ask, on behalf of my people and the youth of my land, is that those who have reached the global Olympus, like Neymar, be aware of the impact of their lives on millions of other lives, and that they use that awareness to make choices that inspire the best in each of us. That they remember that in faraway places like Burkina Faso, there are watchful eyes and hopeful hearts that look to them not only for entertainment, but also as a beacon of hope and dignity. And may this reflection serve not only Neymar, but all of us who, in some way, influence others. May we always ask ourselves what message we are transmitting and what legacy we are building, because the future of our nations, and of the world, depends on the seeds we plant today in the hearts and minds of our young people, our leaders of tomorrow. My continent, Africa, is a vast mosaic of cultures, histories, and peoples, but there is a common thread that unites us, a resilient hope for a future of dignity, prosperity, and peace, a future where we can be the protagonists of our own destiny, free from the shackles of the past and external impositions. And it is with this gaze, full of expectations, that Africa observes the figures who stand out on the global stage, especially those who, in some way, touch our hearts and influence our youth. When an African talent shines in the world, or when an international idol wins the admiration of our people, as is the case with Neymar for many young people on our continent, a feeling of connection arises, a projection of our own desires for recognition and success. We see in these trajectories a mirror of our own potential, proof that it is possible to overcome barriers and reach the highest levels, regardless of one's origin or initial difficulties. However, this admiration comes with a tacit expectation, almost a silent request, that these idols use their voice and influence responsibly, that they remember the struggles and aspirations of the people who admire them, that they be sensitive to the issues that are dear to us, such as social justice, the fight against poverty, the promotion of education, and the defense of the sovereignty of our nations, which we value so much. Africa is tired of being seen only as a continent of problems, conflicts, and deprivation. We are a continent of immense cultural wealth, of vibrant and talented youth, of a history of resilience, and a capacity for innovation that is often overlooked by the rest of the world. And we hope that those who have the power to shape global public opinion will help to spread this fairer and more complete picture of who we are and what we aspire to be. So when figures like Neymar find themselves involved in controversies that seem to denote a lack of sensitivity to these issues, or an ostentation that contrasts painfully with the reality of so many of our brothers and sisters, the disappointment can be profound. It is not about envy, but about a feeling that an opportunity to use one's influence for the greater good is being lost, and that the example set may not be the most edifying for our youth, who are looking for solid references. The gaze from Africa is therefore one of hope, but also a critical and demanding gaze. We hope that our idols, whether African or not, understand the responsibility they carry and act in a way that honors the admiration that is bestowed upon them. May they be ambassadors of positive values. May they promote unity among people, may they inspire solidarity, and may they use their fame to give visibility to causes that really matter for the future of humanity. As the leader of an African nation, I feel this expectation in my own work. I know that the decisions I make in Burkina Faso are watched not only by my people, but also by others on our continent, and that I have a responsibility to act in a way that strengthens the image of a capable, dignified, and sovereign Africa. And this same responsibility, in different spheres, falls on all those who reach positions of prominence and influence. May Neymar, and others like him, feel this gaze from Africa not as a burden, but as an invitation to join us in building a more just and fraternal world. May they understand that their actions have an echo that goes beyond football stadiums and television screens, and that they can be a powerful force to inspire a new generation of Africans to believe in themselves and to fight for a future where their dreams can be fully realized. Africa yearns for heroes who are more than just talented in their fields. It yearns for heroes who are also examples of character, integrity, and commitment to humanity. And the message I convey, on behalf of my people and my continent, is a call for this dimension of heroism not to be forgotten, but to be cultivated and celebrated by all those who have the privilege of influencing millions. May the brilliance of individual talent serve to illuminate the collective path, and may fame be an instrument to amplify the voices of hope, justice, and peace. This is the deep desire that emanates from the heart of Africa, a continent that, despite all the challenges, never loses faith in the capacity of human beings to excel and build a better future for all. Without exception. As I look to the future, both for my beloved Burkina Faso and for our vast African continent, what I desire above all is a legacy of dignity, sovereignty, and inspiration for the generations that come after us. I dream of a time when our young people will not need to look abroad for validation, but will find in their own land, their own culture, and their own leaders the reasons to be proud and the strength to forge their own paths to success and personal fulfillment. In this future that I envision, figures like Neymar, and all those who achieve a level of global influence, will have a crucial role to play, whether they realize it or not. Their choices, their attitudes, and the messages they convey can either accelerate or slow down the journey toward that future of self-determination and mutual respect among peoples that we so much strive to build with our own efforts. The legacy I want to leave, and which I hope other leaders and influencers will also seek to build, is a legacy where success is not measured only in material terms, but mainly by the positive impact we have on people's lives and the transformation of our societies. May we be remembered not for what we hoarded for ourselves, but for what we shared with others, for the doors we opened, and for the seeds of hope we planted along our journey. For this future to become a reality, it is essential that we cultivate a culture of responsibility and accountability at all levels, from the highest echelons of power to the spheres of cultural and sporting influence. May each of us, aware of the impact of our actions, strive to be an example of integrity, humility, and service, inspiring those who observe us to do the same in their own lives and communities. I believe that the message that I seek to convey, even if indirectly, to figures like Neymar, is part of this effort to build a better future. It is an invitation for them to join us on this journey, to use their immense talent and popularity not only for entertainment, but also for education, awareness, and mobilization around the great causes that afflict humanity and that prevent the full development of our peoples. I hope that in the future, when our children and grandchildren look back, they will see in our generation an example of courage, determination, and commitment to the values that truly matter. That they will be proud of the choices we made and the legacy we left them, a legacy of a more just, more peaceful, and more caring world, where every human being has the opportunity to flourish and contribute his or her unique gifts. The road is long and full of challenges, I know. But history teaches us that great transformations begin with small gestures, with the courage to question the status quo, with the persistence in defending what we believe in, and with the ability to inspire others to join the cause. And it is with this spirit that I continue my struggle in Burkina Faso, and it is with this spirit that I direct my gaze and my words to the world. May the journey of Neymar, and of all the young talents emerging in every corner of the planet, be increasingly marked by the awareness of their role as agents of change, as bridge builders and as bearers of a hope that transcends borders and differences. May they find within themselves the strength to resist the temptations of vanity and individualism, and the wisdom to choose the path of service and meaningful contribution. The future I aspire to is a future where Africa occupies its rightful place in the concert of nations, not as a problem to be solved, but as a source of solutions, creativity, and inspiration for the rest of the world. And for this future to come to fruition, we need every talent, every voice, and every heart committed to this vision, everywhere. May this episode, this reflection on the connection between an African leader and a global sports idol, serve as a reminder that we are all interconnected, and that the future we build together will be a reflection of the choices we make today, individually and collectively, in search of a better world for all. I thank you for following my reflection, this perspective that I sought to share on topics that, although they may seem distant from my daily reality in Burkina Faso, deeply touch the aspirations of my people and the entire African continent. I hope that these words have offered a new perspective on the responsibility that we all carry, especially those who, like Neymar, have the gift of influencing millions of lives around the globe. Subscribe to this channel, so as not to miss future analyses and stories that seek to bring to light the truths that are often hidden behind the obvious. Your presence and support are essential for us to continue this work of sharing and raising awareness. And if this message touched your heart or mind, show it with a like, as this helps us understand what interests you most. Finally, your comments are always welcome. Share your impressions, your ideas, and your constructive criticism, because it is through dialogue that we grow and that we can, together, find paths to a more promising future for everyone.